A few years ago, I was getting my Achilles tendon operated on. It had frayed and it was about to snap, and I needed a new tendon, rubber or plastic or titanium. I don't even know what's in my ankle. I just know I can walk now. But my surgery was scheduled for 9 a.m. So I got there at 6 or 6:30, whenever they told me to get there, and got prepped. And then 9 o'clock came and went, 10 o'clock came and went, 11 o'clock came and went, and still no sign of the doctor. 11:30, doctor comes rushing into the bay that I was in for at the hospital, and she goes, "I'm so sorry, I was running so behind. I don't know why they schedule me so many appointments in a row." And like, I didn't want to confront the they thing, but anyway, she says, like, "I haven't eaten anything, but I'm ready. I'm so sorry to keep you waiting. I'm ready to do your surgery." And I said, "You know what?" I said, "I am fine here. I'm doing great. Why don't you go eat some lunch and come back when you're ready and we'll do the surgery then?" She goes, "Really?" She says, "You're okay? You don't mind waiting?" I said, "I am fine here. I'm perfectly fine. I have my phone. I have my headphones. I'm good. Why don't you go take care of yourself?" And then she left. I wasn't going to say, "I'm not letting you touch me in that condition." She was a mess, and she's wonderful. I love this doctor. But she was totally off. She comes back 20 minutes later and she goes, "Thank you so much." She said, "I had a cup of coffee. I had a salad. I feel so much better." I said, "Great, let's go." And she did a great job. And it's been 7 years, and I'm hiking up and down mountains, and it's great. Uh, but she wasn't going to touch my ankle. And that got me to thinking about, what if you're just not at your what if you're not at your best? What if you just don't have it that day? Yesterday I was trying to record a podcast. I need to get my podcast in by a certain date in order for it to air by a certain date, and I had hit the deadline, and I had tried over and over and over again to get this podcast done, and it just wasn't happening. So I messaged my producer Kate and I said, "Look, I'm not going to get the podcast in on time. If it's okay, I'll do it again tomorrow and have it in." And she said, "Cup of tea and a nap, Mark. That's what you need." And so I got a good night's sleep, did my coaching today, sat down at the mic, and it still took me 3 tries to get that podcast episode done correctly. I'm not, I just don't have it. I'm not, my creative juices aren't where I need them to be. And but I had the wherewithal to ask for help, ask for a new agreement with my producer, and get agreement on that, and then try again and do a better job. So what do you do when you're not at your best? There's a few things. Most of us power through. Most of us think, like Dennis Leary says, put a helmet on and go to work. It's so admirable when we have COVID and we drag ourselves to work. It doesn't matter that we get everybody else sick. We're such a trooper. But the question is, what really is needed in this situation? And very rarely do we stop and slow down to wonder what's really needed in this situation, because we have fears, we have triggers, we have childhood stuff about being sick. Some of us get sick and we're like, "Oh my God, I can't do a thing," and we cancel our appointments and kind of lose it on that side. Some of us power through and do a shitty job or a grumpy job, and make ourselves even sicker. But if we can get, again, those words that I use over and over and over again, if we can get grounded and centered and really question what's needed in this situation, do I actually need rest? Can I love Mark enough to give Mark's body and Mark's psyche the rest that he needs? Or is this a commitment that needs to be kept? I'm not going to get anybody sick or whatever that is. But if I can just get a cup of coffee, get my shit together for the half hour, 45 minutes that I need to do this thing, and I need to be professional and keep my commitment, is that's what's needed? Or is what's needed, I need to be fresh, I need to be on my game because I need to be the absolute best for this other person. I'm a coach. The most important thing for me to do is to be able to show up alert, connected, and present. Uh, you know, all the skills I have in the world, being wise, having techniques, all that stuff pales to, can I get myself grounded, centered, and present so I can listen and I can feel whoever it is I'm coaching. If I can't do that, I shouldn't be coaching that day. Or at the very least, sometimes I do show up and I'm not in the best of places, and I call it out. I say, look, I'm distracted today. We can reschedule, or we can just see what happens here. And almost always it turns out to be good once you call it out, that's happening. So that's the question: is what is needed in this situation. uh, Another good thing is what I just said about the calling it out in the coaching. If you're in a really rotten mood, and you're talking to people who are on your team, and you're in a rotten mood from something else, make sure you call it out, because the people that you're talking to are going to feel that. They're going to think it's directed at them. So if you can say, you know what, I just had another meeting, I'm completely thrown off my game from that meeting, I'm here with you, but just know that my vibe has nothing to do with you. And once you call that out, it dissipates. So there's so many things you can do when you're not at your best, but the most important thing is to figure out what the right thing to do when you're not at your best. That's being a leader. What is the best way for me to show up, either for me, for the situation, for the other person, for the commitment in this situation, and then act accordingly. It'll all work out. I love you a ton. Have a great rest of the day.